This is LIT3048, Women Playwrights on the International Stage, 1880s to 1930s. I'm Frances Babbage. I'm in the theatre department, or the theatre section of the School of English. I'm a reader in theatre and performance. I'm interested in lots of aspects of theatre. My most recent book is Revisioning Myth, Modern and Contemporary Drama by Women, and that relates in some ways to the module that I'm going to talk about. And my current project is in contemporary theatre, so theatre now, and focusing on adaptation. So LIT3048, the key topics, well, we begin by looking at the fin de siècle period of history, so the end of the 19th century. And the fin de siècle is important as an idea for the module because it's an actual period of time, but it also has metaphorical significance. You can imagine that at the end of a century, it's a time where there is a real concentration of thinking and preoccupation suddenly come to the fore about the arts, about culture, about politics, about the kind of society that we want to have. And you saw that at the end of the 20th century just as much as at the end of the 19th. So the module deals with the theatre of that time, and specifically plays by women, and addresses questions of culture, of politics, of gender, of ideology, of identity. The plays that we look at are highly contrasting. So a number of them are realistic dramas, and if you've studied any plays by male authors of that period, better known works by, for example, Henrik Ibsen, or a little later Anton Chekhov, that representation of society at the time is something that you might anticipate from this module, and you will get. But as alongside those realist dramas, we look at symbolist writing, at comedy, at allegory, so really quite a range of theatrical and linguistic, dialogic styles. The module, as it's concerned with writing by women, it is also a module about feminism and its development, and also about the opponents to feminism and to that enlargement of women's opportunities. And it's important to say that that opposition came from women as much as from men. And we look at how that plays out in various different contexts. You'll be able to see on this slide just one image that I've included, an anti-suffrage poster titled A Suffragette's Home. And you can maybe be able to see some of the details there. This propaganda image that suggests that the man at the end, a working man, comes home to find his wife is out demonstrating and he finds his home in disarray. And it suggests the kind of unravelling of family life that will follow. It's a kind of alarmist image. We look at some of these kinds of posters and also the pro-suffrage imagery, at the speeches, texts of speeches, and we look at a number of other kinds of documents of the time alongside plays. So as well as those kinds of suffrage texts, we look at writings from contemporary psychologists and sexologists. Sexologists may not be a word you've heard before, but it refers to writers and scientists, well, pseudoscientists, aiming to describe and in some ways to police sexual behaviour, legitimising the arguments they were making through claims about the biological differences of men and women. Now, a very important thing to say about this module is that it's international. We look at comparative national contexts, and I'll say a word about this when we move on. Okay, the reading for the module. Well, we have a central anthology, which is a very, very rich collection of plays by women from the period, and this is a 50-year period, so you would expect some diversity just from that fact. But this is an international collection that includes plays from Europe, from Asia, from the Americas. So we have writing from the UK, Scandinavia, France, Italy, Russia, from the United States. We have a text of the Harlem Renaissance that is a really fascinating play to look at. So these plays produced in a real range of national contexts and different cultural moments, but concentrated around this period of the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century. I said produced, but they weren't all produced on stage, and one of the things the module will deal with is the kinds of difficulties that women playwrights perhaps particularly faced in getting their plays performed. As well as this collection of play texts, that I supply a module course pack that includes a number of contextual documents, and that's an important feature of the module, that alongside the plays you would be looking at visual images of suffrage campaign, of fine art representations of the period, and as I've mentioned, of writings by sexologists and psychologists. So we really try to embed you in some of the thinking of the time. And in addition, of course, you'll get a full bibliography and resource list for the module. So the assessment, there's a choice of 2 2,000-word essays or 1 at 4,000 words. You may have come across this pattern before, but the 4,000-word option is a really good opportunity for you if you're thinking about a dissertation or you just want to challenge yourself through a rather longer and more developed piece of research. But there are 2 options, and I'll advise you about which to go for, depending on the kinds of things you're interested in. The module's taught through seminars, and these may include little lectures and student presentations, but it includes some group discussion, but really plenty of talking and kicking around of the ideas of the module. Now, it is, as I've said, seminar based, and it's important to stress that, because sometimes people think that because the module is theatre that it will involve practical work, and really it doesn't. It's not that kind of module. However, because people have wanted it in the past, I do run, in addition, 2 practical workshops at times that people can make. And these are just good chances to try out the texts and sort of see what they feel like as drama. But if you've not had prior experience of performance, don't worry, they're very unthreatening, and they really don't put you on the spot in a way that you would need to be concerned about. They're just to enrich the experience. This is a module that's open to all students in the School of English. It will appeal to you if you're interested in drama and performance, if you're interested in issues of gender and identity, culture, politics, if it's a period that interests you, that pre- and early 20th century moment, if you want to study texts from different national contexts, and that's not something you get the chance to do that often, but I think that this is a really rich and rewarding thing to do, and can be very, very enlarging to your way of thinking about writing. And of course, if you want to engage with writing by women. The module also addresses issues of staging and audience reception, so we do talk about these works as drama and as theatre, but as I've stressed, the teaching is seminar and research based. It's not taught through workshops. So this is my contact information. Email is probably the best way to get hold of me, and I'm very happy to answer any queries about the module. Please do get in touch and I'll be happy to advise.